Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Wade Watches. I'm Wade. Welcome to another lovely, amazing, awesome, fresh out of the movie theater review. I just got through watching The Monkey, directed by Osgood Perkins, produced by James Wan, and based off of a short story by the man himself, Stephen King, though I am not too overly familiar with all of his works, but I know he's a big name in horror. So going into this, I was honestly more kind of like, here we go again, because if you've seen my Hard Eyes video, you know how I feel when a horror comedy goes a little bit too far with like the cringe-worthy, effortless comedy. Not to say all horror comedies just automatically don't work and are disregarded in my book, like the two genres can never mix, but Hard Eyes obviously left a really bad taste in my mouth. So when I saw the trailer for this, I was like, I don't even know why I'm bothering. I guess because I like the concept of it all. I liked 1408. But loved 1408, another film that just so happens to be based off of a Stephen King short story. So I was like, there's probably going to be something there for me. And thankfully there is, even amidst the horror comedy, there definitely still was something here for me, some things that I thoroughly enjoyed. So, addressing the comedy, the main thing I was worried about, the main thing that I was like, Jesus Christ, here we go again, that actually ended up being the thing that carried the movie, because the sense of humor here is that of the twisted, morbid, dark variety. Because the thing that had me laughing the hardest here, and I did laugh quite hard at this, there's no sugarcoating it, there's no getting around it, was when people died. Like, the deaths here were hysterical. The way they were woven into the film, the way that they were treated in the film, just had me laughing my ass off. I'm not even going to try and sugarcoat it. I'm not even going to try and hide it. Yes, I laughed when people died in this movie. It is what it is. The movie knows that. It has that, dark sense of humor, and I make no apologies for it, and I don't feel ashamed of it because it clearly wanted me to laugh at that. I laughed at it. But in saying that, my worst fears did still end up coming to light, where, just playing it for the laughs, just having everything be, oh, it's funny. That unfortunately did still end up overshadowing this thing, and that is quite the shame here, because the opening scene of this movie really did a good job of setting up what this was going to be. I was like, okay, here we go. At least there's something here. We're off to a good start. But then, as it goes on, it just became clear that the only thing holding this together was that twisted, edgy, dark sense of humor. And I'm like, I'm not as upset or as angry as I was with Hard Eyes, but I'm still walking out of this going like, man, close but no cigar once again. You almost had it. So one of the main shortcomings in getting into what, kind of just made this kind of like mad for me, was the fact that the titular object itself, the monkey itself, I'm not going to say like it's absent for most of the film, or that it just disappears for a certain amount of the film, but it really honestly kind of takes a back seat at a point, and that's despite the constant reminder that it's evil. We got to get rid of it. We got to watch out for this thing. This thing messes up your life. Don't ever turn it on, or else you're screwed, you're cursed. Despite the constant reminders of that, there comes a point where the focus kind of shifts to this broken family dynamic, and you got to have that in a film like this. You got to have characters. The whole thing can't just be like, I guess, like a 90-minute long shot of the toy monkey winding up. You got to have characters. You got to have a story revolving around that. But I didn't give a shit about any of these characters, because frankly, we're doing it again. The whole like, we're over the top, small town suburban people. And again, I know it's Stephen King. Yes, of course, this thing takes place in Maine. And again, yes, you have the over the top Stephen King bullies, and you have kind of the over the top Stephen King sound people like, hey, I'm a quirky townsperson. And it's like, I'm not going to say I always hate that, or that's always like super annoying to me, but again, that's where the majority of the focus of this film goes. It's like, hey, look at this character right here. Isn't this guy wacky and campy? And it's like, yeah, but what about the monkey, So there's that as well. Like, the film decides to focus more on these characters and how, even without the monkey, how kind of screwed up things are for them, how quirky and twisted their lives already are without the evil cursed monkey. And it's like, go back to the monkey, man. I want to see this thing do what it does. And there is, again, like I said, it never really goes away. It never gets backseated. The thing is, in a good majority of the runtime, and it does what it does. And of course, people die when that happens. But like, so much of this is devoted to those characters that there's nobody I really gave a shit about here, because they really are those Stephen King cutouts. You know, you have the estranged relationship. You know, the main guy here, he's you know, he has a twin brother, and it's the good thing. You know, our protagonist, he's decent. Twin brother's an asshole, of course. But you know, when he grows up, so you know, twin brother bullies him as a kid. We see a lot of that. Opens up their kids, then they become adults. They're estranged, of course, and I don't blame him for that one. He also has a son that he doesn't really see, and it's like, okay, here we go again. And it's not bad how it plays out. It's not cringeworthy. It's not like the worst case of this I've seen, but I just really didn't care because the character development wasn't like fully there. I never found myself fully rooting for anybody, even like the one, you know, pretty, you know, decent, most normal guy in the town. And I saw what they were going for, kind of like the Andy Griffin thing, like out of this whole town of, you know, very bizarre personalities, this one guy, he's kind of like the normal mild-mannered guy. Even with him, I was just kind of like, yeah, you're just the mild-mannered guy, and now this thing is happening and you got to solve it, you know, like you're cool, you're chill, I guess. But even with that guy, there just wasn't enough there for me to go like, okay, now I care about you. I hope you're good for the rest of this. So yeah, and honestly, that's about it. So yeah, story was just kind of all right. Didn't fully utilize the monkey. Didn't really even make a majority of it about the monkey. It's more about like this family that already had problems before this thing coming along, having more problems added to their plate because now they have a cursed demonic toy in their possession that fucks people's lives up, and they gotta work that out while trying to find themselves again. And I was just kind of like, don't really care enough about y'all to see all of that play out, and that's pretty much the extent of it. And like I said, you know, outside of all of that, the dark sense of humor, the edgy sense of humor, the way that the film comedically treats its deaths, that's the only thing that stands out to me. That's the one highlight. It did have me laughing. I did enjoy that. But, you know, this whole thing isn't just, you know, people dying. Like, at a certain point, you do have to cut back to, you know, the character development, the setup, and them talking and establishing who they are. And I just really wasn't buying into any of it, which is a shame. But nonetheless, I really did have a good time when the morbid, dark, twisted stuff was happening. That was really enjoyable for me. So wrapping it all up, I'm going to go ahead and give The Monkey a 6.5 out of 10. Obviously, not a great movie, barely even a good movie, but I still had some fun with it. It still has some value. There's still something there. So I feel like now that I prepped you, if you just go in just wanting like, you know, that like dark, twisted horror comedy, I think you'll have a decent enough time with this one. But even as far as that goes, it could have done more, didn't live up to its full potential, and you know, honestly left me just a little bit disappointed, because it's like, you know, you do a good job with right off the bat, like first shot, establishing what this thing can do and how menacing it is. Why don't you fully utilize it? But oh well. So 6.5 out of 10 for The Monkey. This has been another edition of Wade Watches. I'm still holding out for that one solid, enjoyable horror movie. I hope I get it soon, and I'll see you all next time when I do. Peace.